Hello, everyone, and welcome to our channel TIOP, where we dive into the world of technology and celebrate innovators shaping our future. I am Neha, your host, and today we are exploring a topic that's changing the way we live, work, and connect generative AI in everyday life. Joining us today is Karthik Vishwanathan, a seasoned leader in AI and tech innovation. With over 20 years of experience, Karthik is heading Advanced Technology Group at Anzu Technologies. Karthik has a wealth of expertise in GenAI, SaaS, and product management. Let's give him a warm welcome. Hi, Karthik. Thank you so much for joining us today. Before we get into the topic, I know you have been in this field for a while. If you can, throw some light on how Gen AI is different from traditional AI, that will be a great help.
Hey, sure. Thanks for hosting this and thanks for inviting me here. See, the new generation of AI, what commonly called as Gen AI, is massively different, completely different from traditional AI use cases that we've been using. There are a lot of, I'll give you a human like example and then probably a technology wide vision why this is happening. Right? First of all, generative AI essentially means there is a capability of for generating new content. It could be a text, it could be a video, it could be an audio, it could be anything. That's why when you actually go and talk to the most popular tools like ChatGPT, etc., like it was able to give you back information like a human, right? So
Right.
what happens is essentially uh, if you actually type out a question like, hey, the capital of India is, it actually is able to, based upon the tremendous amount of data that essentially uses, that was used to train this particular model. Model is essentially a database kind of a thing, which is essentially exists, which is the heart behind these Gen AI technologies. Called these models are specifically called as large language models. What happens is from the trained data, it will be able to get the next best token or next best available result. So, what obviously the highest probability of answers would be something like New Delhi, right? So, now what happens is in this way, for each and every sentence, it is able to generate a completion and it's able to go ahead. That's was not capable, was not possible in the earlier generation of AI that was available, and it's absolutely a game changer. This one because it's able to generate new content for you.
Oh, great. Oh, great. Okay. That's how it is. I was not knowing it. I'm sure our audience must not be knowing it. That's a great insight. Since you have mentioned, ChatGPT and all that, are there, if you can like give us examples, like what are the use cases of Gen AI in everyday life?
No, the AI use cases have been always there. Like every time you use a credit card processing, or someone essentially misuses a credit card or tries to commit a fraud, those AI use cases have always been there. But now what it has done is it's sort of democratized the usage of these AI technologies much more commonly available to every part of the world, right? So the next time you go into a company website or your banking website and you're chatting, asking for a specific question, uh, that need not be, you may not be really talking to a person in the back, right? You may actually be talking to an AI bot,
Right.
AI agent, or whatever you want to call it as. What is happening right now is, as I told you earlier, because the new generation AI is capable of generating new content. It's able to understand your questions and able to generate contextually nice, answers for that. So you're able to get human-like answers or responses from those machines.
True.
It's very, very common use cases that you will find whether you are booking a ticket in your Indian IRCTC ticketing system or you go to any banks, you will actually go and see and talk with chatbot. All these things are essentially being led by the AI technologies as of today.
Yes, yes, yes. We do. We do interact with a lot of chatbots. Yes. So, Karthik, I thought chatbots were just like, computerized kind of thing or maybe programmed thing. But now, since we know that chatbots are mostly like people are using Gen AI or like AI, earlier we used to just know that AI is being used for chatbots. So, can you tell us like how actually Gen AI technologies are applied to chatbots?
So let's talk about ChatGPT in general, right? Like ChatGPT is essentially nothing but a chatbot application. It's a wrapper on top of a Gen AI technology. So Gen
Mm-hmm.
AI, let me just give a definition to Gen AI to make this whole thing like put it in context. Gen AI are essentially the represents the new generation of large language models, which are
Mm-hmm.
generate new content, right? That's what is the uh, theoretical definition for Gen AI. Now,
Jenny,
what
okay.
happens is when you actually go to a chat GPT, that's chat application interface on top, and when
Mm-hmm.
you ask a question, that question is passed on in the backend to
Mm-hmm.
a large language model. In this case, it's a GPT models that was generated by that was created by OpenAI, right? Now, what
Yes.
happens is these questions are now ingested into the model. If the model understands it, it's able to reason it out and it's able to give you back an answer. So that's the that's how the Chat GPT applications, which is essentially a user interface, and then there is a backend model, which is part of the this whole application, combines together and gives you back the relevant answers.
Hmm. Nice, nice. Now I got it. I'm sure our audience must be listening to it and they definitely have some insight on this one. That's great. So, Karthik, this might sound like a silly question to you, but many people have this thought in back of their mind. Like, if you have seen in recent example, let's give me a recent example. Tesla has created a robot, and as example, people can use it in their daily lives soon. And we have seen it on Instagram Reels as well. Like people are taking it for shopping or even making them do their normal human household chores. So, since they are doing these things and they are interacting with us like a friend or like a house help, you can say, do you think robot can rule our life at certain point?
I'll not take a very bold statement and going to say rule our lives, but what is going to happen is definitely there's going to be a proliferation of a lot of these robots, right? See,
Yes.
the Tesla's robots, in specifically that in case what is happening is being designed for doing everyday chores like washing your dishes and things like that. So hence, essentially, there was a hardware robot that is needed. What is going to happen when I say proliferation is not necessarily those robotic structures walking beside us like in the Terminator or iRobot movie. That's or like sitting beside you and doing your office work or something like that. That's not going to happen. Uh, these AI technologies are mostly going to be driven by offline or software related AI tools, right? Like for example, they are definitely going to play a huge role in say like coding and code generation tools that come up in a massive way. So the AI is going to generate much better code than humans. Um, that's good. So that's just one example of what I'm just saying. So for example, even the scenarios like where uh, documents are going to be read and understood and responses have to be given back. AI is going to play a huge role. So these are all AI agents or AI, I think, robots, if I can use the word, which are not visible to you. They are going to do a lot of your jobs at the back end processing, where they're not going to sit with you, but they're still going to, roll
Help us.
out as going ahead. But in terms of the actual physical robot sitting with you, I think there is already a lot of them use Tesla as an example. But military-based robots like
Yes.
Ripley, going along with the soldiers probably, or going to places which is probably not reachable by humans. All those things are going to take a huge step forward, and I think we're going to see it in the years ahead.
Soon. Yes, yes. Hoping to see more. I mean, Tesla is like definitely it's a fascinating thing. So hoping to see more of these advancements in the coming future. So since you have mentioned like, bots, or let's not say just like bots, ChatGPT, like agents, AI agents which you have talked about. They will be helping us in doing our job. So can you tell us like what will be the risks of relying on AI for personal decision making?
This whole thing is like a fantasy as of today because it's brand
Okay.
new. It's literally just a year or two old at this moment. Like the AI technology really taken really fast. Now, as of today, I would not give too much. I'll not say importance, but I will not. I'll still be cautious in terms of accepting whatever answers the AI, Gen AI, LLM is going to give back to you for X. So whenever you ask a question to ChatGPT, don't take it at face value, right? Now, go ahead and make sure that the answers are correct because what happens is all these large language models they have a
Mm-hmm.
bit of data. right? So
Okay.
the information is as good as the information that it's been trained on. That may not be the entire information available in the internet or available in this world. And also, it's only till a particular cutoff date. So if you are looking for, hey, the give me details about the US presidential election that happened yesterday, none of them will be able to give you that, right? That's more
Right.
real-time information. That's not going to be available. So,
Hmm.
so the risks that coming back to the question that you asked, the risks are AI's technology is still evolving. There are terms like hallucinations which are used,
Yes.
technical terms like hallucination which are used. That means that it can confidently give you a wrong answer as though that's the right answer. So anytime you get an answer from an AI bot, be it a chat GPT or a cloud or any other model for that matter, make sure that you double check those answers. Don't take it with a pinch of salt. Don't take it at face value. So that's one risk I'm definitely going to be there. And more, I think moving ahead, because this is going to be proliferation of AI technologies going ahead, there's a lot of risk around data privacy and things like that. So it's going to be, I know, so your public data can actually be accessed and trained in a bigger model, right? Like, some rogue elements are always going to be there. I'm not saying the existing models do that, but so it's going to be very important for you to take care of your data privacy. Make sure your private information is not available in social media or any other public places, right? That's going to be taken up and made available to the model. So I would not do that going ahead. It's not advisable even before these things evolve, but even up with these things, with these AI models coming up, it's going to be very, very important that you take care of that. Um, I
Data.
think these two things are going to be most important to be aware of as we go ahead.
Okay, okay. I'll definitely. I mean, these things are definitely to keep in point. I was thinking there's no data privacy thing or implications. So since you have mentioned like the data privacy implications, I mean, on daily life basis, we are using different AI models, such as ChatGPT, Gemini, and many more to do our work. Do they also have like data privacy implications, or should we like use more of a offline chat GPT, like offline AI models you're suggesting?
So, for example, I'll take an example of ChatGPT. If you're actually using the free input, the terms and conditions clearly say that the answers that you give will become a part of the research, will become a part of the model training, right? So,
Yes.
and but if you're taking a paid subscription with them, they give the terms and conditions clearly say that they will not be your answers and your data that you upload will not be considered for any other purposes, and it will be completely taken privately. So I think there is a risk. Uh, there is a small risk, not a small risk. There is definitely a risk involved for using free subscriptions like ChatGPT. Uh,
Okay.
so I think you need to. I'm not saying don't use free subscriptions. I'm saying when you're using free subscriptions, be mindful of the fact that you're not asking very private questions about yourself or giving away private data about yourself or your family members or near and dears. Just make sure that you take care of that aspect.
So, like, I mean, this will be a lesson for our audience. Please, please, please do not ask any private questions while you're using free versions of ChatGPT or any other AI models, because that can be used to train the model and can be used for general purposes as well. If you do want to ask a certain kind of private questions or certain thing about your business as well, maybe use a paid version. This is
Yeah.
like a key takeaway for our audience. Definitely this will be. So, since we have talked all about these, like how AI is doing and what are all things are going on, can you let us know, like, many people face this problems, like how to interact with the Gen AI tools to get the desired answers? Because whenever we are asking questions with ChatGPT, sometimes it gives us silly answers, sometimes it gives us any kind of answer, sometimes it gives us totally wrong answer. So how to input the question in order to get your desired answer?
So I think we are a slave of being conditioned to specific way of doing things, right? For example, in the last 10, 15 years, or 20 years, we've been uh, we've been a slave of searching in a specific way or googling in a specific way. So there is a huge difference between googling or searching versus
Right.
how you go to ask questions to Gen AI. When you are doing searches, you typically don't ask questions like, "Hey, what is the capital of India?" Just say India capital or capital India, and you will get the answers, right? So
Right.
that's something that's called as a keyword search. Right?
Okay.
That's totally different. So the first suggestion I'm going to give you is to talk to Gen AI and get the desired results. Is talk to that particular AI as though you're talking to a human. Don't consider it as a machine. It's going to take its own time because you are actually biased, right? Our mind gets That is a psychological bias for us to essentially go ahead and talk to a machine like a machine. But AI is not trained like that. It's trained to act like a human. So it's going to be very important. The first suggestion is make sure you talk to it like a as though you're talking to a human, right? And then second is be very specific and clear, right? Clearly state what you want to achieve. Like for example, instead of asking, tell me about history, which is very open-ended. You can ask specifically tell me about the history of a Chola Empire or a Maurya Empire or something like that. In this case, more the specificity is honored and get very relevant answers, right? Going ahead, I think a very important information that is going to be used by GenAI LLMs is that background information or providing a context on why you are asking this question. So, for instance, I can instead of just blindly asking, give me details about climate change, if you
Mm-hmm.
can actually provide a context to it, saying, hey, uh, consider yourself as an expert in climate change. I am
Right.
writing a research paper on climate change. That is
Mm-hmm.
the context. That's a background I'm providing. Can you please provide me data on global temperature trends for the past century, right? Now, what happens is you're providing a context, you're being specific and clear on what exactly you're expecting from the GDM, right?
Okay.
And of course, the other things that you want to do is you want to break down complex requests, right?
Okay.
For instance, if you have a multi-part request, break it down into manageable parts and start asking step by step. So I'll give you an example. I'll probably say, first, explain the causes. What was the primary causes of World War One? Let's say,
Hmm.
okay. And
Mm-hmm.
then you go on to say that now that I have the answers, can you please give me the details about the key events that led to its conclusion? Like how it started and how it ended, right? So there are two parts to it. I clearly broke it down into a complex request in two different parts. And
Yes,
in
yes,
this
sir.
case, what happens? You get the answers, very specific answers to two
Mhm.
specific questions.
Right, right, right,
Couple
right.
of other yeah. So the couple of other things people also don't know about is they
Mhm.
generally ask questions.
True.
But for instance, let's say I'm I'm writing a research paper. The research papers are actually come in a specific format, right? So when
Right.
you type papers, and you can also specify the format in which you need it. For instance, I can say, hey, can you give me the list of the top five largest economies in the world this year? Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the word list is important because now it's going to give you as a list. You can even go and say, hey, you can actually use paragraphs, you can say tables, you can say, show me a nested table, a lot of things, right? All those things are going to come back to you, and the LLM understands and actually will be able to give you the details, right? And I would finally say, I keep iterating, keep using it again and again on a daily basis. You'll be able to get much better response. So I would call it as a iterate and refine. So
Mm-hmm.
if the response is not what you expected, keep on refining your prompt based upon the set of rules I just gave you. Keep trying
Okay.
again. So what happens? You can actually ask, questions. Can you provide me more details on the economic impact of World War One? I'm just saying, in
Yes,
this
yes.
case, you can keep on refining your question so that what happens is you go and drill down and with specific information that you were expecting, and you will essentially get it.
Hmm. So definitely, I mean, certain few things to keep in mind is first, if you trying to interact with ChatGPT or any AI, you need to keep in mind you are not Googling, first of all. The second thing is to ask in a way you are interacting with a human. Give the AI a context or like set the context first
Yep,
and let them know what actually you want, right? I mean, what kind of desired output you want, right? Not just saying that give me the answer like that, but
correct,
tell them what actually you are looking, in what manner you are looking to be answered, and in
correct,
what tone or any. I mean, you need to set this context first in order to get your desired answer, right?
correct.
Great, great, great. That's a very good, insightful thing. I mean, it definitely help a lot of people. So, Karthik, like with this question, we have came to end of our podcast today, and I have learned a lot of it. I mean, a lot from you today, and definitely our audience who will be listening us will be getting more and more, insight from this podcast. So, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your knowledge. Before we wrap up this podcast, would you like to give us any additional information or like share any additional information with us?
The only additional information I'm going to give you is when you initially start using the Gen AI technologies and try to get answers out of it, uh, the input that you're giving is called as prompting, right? Whatever
Yes.
suggestions that he just gave you are all to refine the promptings, right?
Right.
So the initial stages may not be that easy. I mean, like, you will actually have your psychological bias to use keywords and all those things. So slowly get rid of it and try to become more and more, closer to how, the LLM actually is asking for these questions. Once you get more comfortable, I think you will actually start asking the AI. If you have any questions in your mind, instead of even asking your wife or your spouse, you'll start asking AI first, and then you go back to the other ones. So that's it's how it's fun, but that's one thing. The second thing is, as I told you, take the answers with a pinch of salt. Make sure you verify the answers so that you're comfortable that the answers
Yes.
are correct. uh,
Yes.
Initial stages at least, and I'm sure the AI models are evolving at a rapid pace. Every week there are new models coming out, and
True.
it's just a matter of time before these even these hallucinations or the risks that are involving in using these answers are going to go away very soon. So that's going to be the additional things I'm going to add.
Let's see, let's see. Still, the thing which you have mentioned, definitely. I mean, I also face still this time. Sometimes I just give ChatGPT a random thing or just one sentence or one liner kind of thing. I ask them, though I understand like you need to give the or set the context and you need to ask questions in certain way. But definitely, people are people
It's
who
an
will.
evolving technology. I think it's going to give some time, but
Yes, we
it's
also
still a
need.
very exciting technology.
Yes, we also still need time since we are used to search in a certain way, as you have said in the podcast,
Yeah.
like Googling. So we are still evolving and we are also like, getting expert and asking questions from the AI. So definitely this will be a two-way thing. So let's see how it goes.
All right. Sounds good.
Sure, sure. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Karthik.
Thank you for having me here. Thank you.
And to our viewers, thank you so much for joining us and listening us. Please like, share, and subscribe, and let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Until the next one, stay curious, stay informed, and we'll catch you. Thank you.